Hey, Bill, thank you so much for joining me to talk about Uncle Sam, this brand new 4K release, which, first of all, I gotta say is fantastic. Y'all did
Well,
such a
thank
great,
you.
yeah, y'all did such a great job. Um, just the restoration looks incredible. Like I've seen this before on home video previously, but I think that this is like the definitive version of this.
Well, it's the first time that the original camera negative was scanned.
Mm.
Up until now, when they did, um, uh, uh, the scans were all done previously from the interpositive.
Mm.
So it's a generation earlier. Plus, it's now 4K 16-bit, so it's naturally going to even look sharper.
Nice. Yeah, so I'm always like really impressed by how like people can take older films. I mean, this isn't hugely, I mean, really old, but I mean, take older films and really make them look really fantastic. For somebody that isn't really familiar with that process, how long did it take to bring something like this, to market?
Um, I mean, not very long. I mean, it was all, there was no hiccups. I mean, it took probably about a week to do the color grading. And there wasn't that much restoration involved because it was the original camera negative. So the original camera negative was clean. And then we did the upgrade of the audio, which took a day, which was Dolby Atmos.
Nice. Yeah, and I mean, certainly something that has been well taken care of, that's not really that old, probably wouldn't be like the same as restoring like something from the 70s or.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're working on one project now. God, I'm embarrassed to say how long it's taken, but it's now over a year and I still don't have it completed.
But I think though that it's like time well spent because like reviewing some of your like older films that have been like in 4K. I mean, they look fantastic. I mean, they're like bar none the best I've ever seen them. Yeah, no, this movie kind of got a new audience with it being featured on Joe Bob Briggs, and I know you and him go way back. Did you get to catch that episode?
Actually, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
I, I yeah, I heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fun movie.
And I have Shudder, so it's not. I don't have an excuse.
Yeah, it's a fun episode. It's funny because he does like playfully pose some sort of logistical things. But yeah, I mean, it's always a movie that, I mean, this is kind of like quintessential summer viewing for me. Like 4th of July, this, Jaws, stuff like that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so now, one of the things that Joe Bob mentioned on his show was that you actually got, so this has Isaac Hayes in it, and you got to perform with Isaac Hayes, right?
Oh, he and I,
Yeah.
Isaac and I.
Mhm.
At some point during the movie, when we had some downtime, we got to sing Shaft.
Oh, nice.
And he did the backup. I was his voice.
That's awesome.
So
that's kind of a
it was
once in a
fun.
lifetime kind of
I
thing.
wish we had filmed it.
Yeah. What was he like to work with?
Wonderful guy. I have nothing but high praise for Isaac. Just a wonderful guy, just a really, really nice guy. And, we talked a lot about what went on in his life with Stax Records and their bankruptcy and how that affected him. And he was, he credits Scientology with saving his life, really. And he's very level-headed. You know, I always think of Scientology as being something, you know, a little bit out there, and he's just very level-headed, and he, you know, that was his thing at the time.
Yeah.
And we subsequently saw each other when I'd go to New York. You know, he was living there, and you know, we'd see each other and hang out. He was just a nice guy.
Nice. So you work with so many great character actors over the years. Was there ever a time when there was somebody that you were like so enamored with, or like somebody that you were like really excited to meet or work with, or you know?
Yeah, the most excited to work the most excitement I had to work with somebody was Woody Strode when I did Vigilante. Because this man to me was a legend. It was like old Hollywood, and you know, John Wayne and Kirk Douglas, and you know, and the films that Woody Strode appeared in. He was, yeah, I was a huge fan of his.
That's amazing. Now, did he have some great like you were talking about some downtime? Did he have some like really good stories?
You know, that really, he wasn't a guy who was a gossiper at all, or he didn't really have. You know, we had a nice dinner when he came, you know, from the airport, and we spoke a little bit. But he wasn't a talkative guy. He was very stoic, quiet man.
Okay.
He did talk about his love for his wife. That was one of the things he spoke about.
Nice. Yeah. So, you know, I think that, I mean, is it, I mean, it must be really amazing, like with your earlier films, definitely getting like great restoration. I mean, so not only Uncle Sam, but the Maniac Cop 2 and 3 just came out not too long ago. That's got to be awesome. Like Maniac Cop 2, I think, is my favorite out of all three of those.
I agree.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and it's so funny. Like for the longest time, it never dawned on me like there was something that was like. So I'm of course a big Universal Monster fan, and you know, I think it was probably Joe Bob's show that pointed out that like, you know, there's sort of like an homage to like the Igor and you know, yeah. So I like, and when that clicked, I kind of loved it even more because it's like cool. Like I could never put my finger on like why that dynamic seemed kind of familiar. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I told the actor Leo Rossi that I wanted that I was modeling this role after Bela Lugosi in Son of Frankenstein, and so he chose a different take on it, but the essence of the character was the same.
Nice. Well, yeah, it's so funny because it does come across, but it was funny because like I don't know if I thought it was maybe too much of a stretch to think that was the case, but yeah, you know, hugely entertaining movies. But have you noticed that like doing like conventions, like with these like re-releases, like do you notice like more people are coming up to you and talking about these movies with you, or do you notice
I don't really do conventions, but I do screenings, and I do see that there is definitely a rise in popularity of these older genre films. I don't know why. I suspect that that the newer genre films, even at their best, still feel kind of how can I put it? They don't feel the personality of the filmmaker like you would when you saw a John Carpenter film, or you saw a Tobe Hooper's or George Romero film, and Larry Cohen. You know, these people, their personality comes through in the films. When I see genre films today, except for the ones that are made overseas, the ones that are the foreign genre films still retain filmmaker personalities, but the ones that are made here, even good ones. Black Phone, as an example. It could have been made by anybody. I mean, it was a well-made movie, don't get me wrong, and I think the director was a fine director, but it didn't have a personality in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And I think that when you look at the Dario Argento films, or you look at the Larry Cohen or John Carpenter films, they're very distinctive. You put on any movie and you don't show the credits to somebody, but you put it on to somebody who's familiar with movies, they'll recognize it as a John Carpenter movie.
Yeah.
The same thing with Romero or Dario Argento or any of these fine genre filmmakers. They had a personality.
Oh yeah, like I mean, and I've said this before, like you, Abel Ferreira, and Frank Henenlotter, like were the guys that made New York, like filmed New York like no like other people. I think like the grimy kind of seedy. I mean, a New York that really doesn't exist pretty much anymore.
Well, for anybody interested, I watched for the second time last night with some friends Abel Ferrara's doc, The Projectionist. And if you see that movie, it really captures that period well. And it's a terrific documentary. I mean, Abel did a great job. It's, he has there's a side of Abel that this represents that's not represented necessarily in his genre movies. It's a humanist. Yeah. He takes somebody who you would pass on the street and not, and the guy had in many ways a remarkable life, but not an extraordinary life. Not someone that somebody would say, God, I want to go out and make a documentary about this person. But in the end, it was a satisfying documentary and really well made and well told. And I urge your people to watch that documentary called The Projectionist.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I believe that Kino put that out on home video.
Yes, it's a Kino.
And I'll definitely link that in the description. And you all should definitely check that one out. But yeah, I see you guys as like the kings of New York. I mean, nobody did like New York grime and grunge and, like.
Well, we rubbed elbows in those theaters, and so we know from where we came.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I know like Frank would often say like he would live in these like 42nd Street theaters, watching all these movies, and then finally making one of his own. And I'm sure it's probably a similar experience with you as far as. Seeing these amazing Grindhouse films, and then
the beauty of 42nd Street was the audience had a unabashed reaction to movies over there. They really reacted, and so when we were making our films, Abel, Frank, and myself, Amos Poe, I would put in that group. We could hear that audience in our heads while we're making our pictures. I know at least I did. I don't know about the other guys, but I suspect they did because their movies were so targeted towards that audience.
Oh yeah, I mean it it was the shock and awe. It was like that visceral experience. I mean. I would say that's, I mean, and I don't know if you'd agree with me, but I think that's kind of also what's sort of missing in a lot of modern films is that well,
exactly. I mean, look, Frank was an original. Basket Case. I mean, that's an original. That was a great movie that this guy made. And Abel with Ms. 45, not so much Thriller Killer. I mean, I wasn't crazy about Thriller Killer, but I think Ms. 45 is just a brilliant fucking movie. It's brilliant. And I saw it again at the Tribeca Film Festival, where I got to hang out with Abel and
Nice.
And it was great seeing him again. It was so great to see him.
That's awesome. I know I've always wanted to, like, one of my dream things is to interview him someday, but like I've always heard he's a character, like
he is. He is, but I think part of that he plays to his persona.
Hmm.
You know, but I talked to him one-on-one, it's not like that.
Yeah.
But when, you know, I'll give you an example. I'm going back 30 years ago. Abel and I are in Paris. My movie Maniac Cop 2 and his film King of New York were actually opening the same day in France. And what they do in France is the Sunday before the opening, they screen the film for critics and for the press, and often somebody representing the film, the director, star, you know, will get up before the movie and introduce the movie to the people. And so Abel and I are at the theater, and we're hanging out in the lobby, and he's telling me about, you know, the making of King of New York. I hadn't seen it yet. I was going to see it there. And he's telling me about, you know, working with Christopher Walken and, you know, made this film $5 million. Look at all the production we got, you know, and all this. And he was so proud of the film and what he had accomplished. And it was really nice. So his film played before mine, and he gets up in front of the audience, and suddenly he changes into what I kind of looked at as a blues singer. He kind of holds the microphone, kind of ducks his head. He's wearing dark glasses, and he's talking to the critics, you know, about King of New York. And then he ends his little spiel by saying, please tell your readers that on Friday, for them to go see King of New York and not Maniac Cop 2.
That's great.
That's Abel. That's Abel. He also told me a funny story. I saw the funeral for the first time in New York, just this last trip, and Abel was there, and we're talking about it. He said, "Yeah, Christopher Walken." He said, "You know, he never knows, you know, if he's doing a play, if he's doing a movie, whatever he's doing. He doesn't really know." He said at some point during the funeral, his role ended, and Christopher Walken asked me, "What's this movie? What's the name of this movie?" So Abel tells him, "It's The Funeral." And Christopher Walken goes, "Oh yeah. Hey Gladys, let's load up the station wagon with the kids and go see the funeral. It's gonna do real well, Abel."
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Oh.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, it's so funny because like I definitely understand what you mean about like having kind of one persona and then sort of turning it on for you know, your audience or your public. Yeah, like kind of just wrapping up though, like I think y'all did a stunning job on Uncle Sam. And yeah, it's such a wild movie, and you should definitely check out the Joe Bob episode. It's a lot of fun.
I've been watching it. Yeah, I may do it today. I have some time today.
By the way, that's such an amazing poster behind you.
It's the original French Maniac poster.
Nice. Yeah, again, thank you so much for taking some time out, sharing some really cool stories. And for everybody watching this, I will link where you can get your own copy of this, and it is well worth it. And thank you so much again for taking the time to talk to me. And again,
thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Absolutely, such a huge fan. So it's always so nice to talk to you.
All right, Mike. You take care now.
All right, thanks. You too.
Thank you for your listeners.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.